Sam Curry from the Digitize Fully Charged Podcast. Welcome. I'm joined as ever by my colleague Niall Ridgway, and today's episode is with Stuart Naismith, famous for his STEM teaching videos. It's a great episode this. I'm really excited for you to hear all about Stuart's work. Let's jump in. Really excited to be joined today on the podcast by Stuart Naismith, a STEM YouTuber, an educator from Gartcosh Primary School. Is that right, Stuart? I think that's the best person to tell us about Stuart is probably Stuart. So just wanted to dig in a little bit to how you ended up where you are today. Just briefly tell us about you.
Yeah, so my background's originally in music, which is what I got my undergrad in. And then after leaving university, I was working for a vehicle finance broker, and was cycling home from work one night and got knocked down by a car and found myself sitting in the house, injured, kind of reflecting on my life up until that point. Mm-hmm. And I thought, am I happy doing what I'm doing? Could I be doing something different? Decided to apply to become a primary teacher, got onto the course, doing the 1 year postgrad. Met an amazing mentor, Dr. Margaret Ritchie, who got me involved in STEM education. And I just kind of took it from there. When I started my first school, started developing STEM with that school, ended up working with some other schools. COVID came along, so I started the YouTube channel, and it's just been a knock-on effect of one thing onto the other. So to trade, I'm a primary teacher. That's what I spend most of my time doing. And then the YouTube is just my passion for STEM communication.
Yeah. And you mentioned there a kind of mentor. Tell us a little bit more about that then. That's a powerful word. And you're kind of, attributing you getting into STEM to the influence of someone else. So tell us more about that person.
So Dr. Ritchie, she was one of our lecturers during the postgrad primary teaching course, and her remit was to teach us how to deliver STEM to primary classrooms. Right. She'd been a high school chemistry teacher and had a lot of amazing stories. But one day we were in class, I asked her a question about the eyes and how the eyes work with coloured lenses. Because after a while, and this was from my cycling days, so I'd start off wearing yellow lenses on low light days. Yeah. And then after a while, I'd be able to see in normal colour. I wouldn't see the filter. So I'd asked her why that was. She couldn't answer it. But she asked her dad, who was an optician. And then the next week she came back, here's your answer. But from that, she saw that I was interested in STEM and what she was doing. So she said, look, there's this half-day session at Edinburgh Uni on astrobiology. Why don't you come to that? So I went along to that. And then she phoned me up and said, I'm working with researchers at Edinburgh Uni on solar energy. You've not got a science background. You're creative, because she'd heard about my music background. Yep. Can you make some games based on their research? I was like, right, okay, I'll do that, Margaret. I'm happy to help you out. But at this point, I'm still not a qualified teacher yet.
Sure.
And then she said, that's been great. We're actually having this 3-day astrobiology summer school. I can get you onto that, and it's free if you'll present about your games. I was like, right, I'll do that. And then it was, I've got this conference, I've put this research in, can you come and present at that? Can you do this? There's this activity going on do you want to do that with your children? That was all in that 1 year postgraduate.
That's amazing.
And I genuinely would not be doing anything I'm doing with STEM without her influence. She was an incredible woman, so passionate about what she did. Unfortunately, she died a couple of years ago. Sure. And it was very unexpected to everybody, our family, friends, everyone. So I appreciate the chance to talk about her, because genuinely, it's not hyperbole. I would not be doing all the stuff I'm doing if it had not been for Margaret Ritchie. An incredibly passionate woman.
What a legacy though for Margaret Ritchie, eh?
And her aim, sorry to cut you off there, Pam. Her aim with me, she'd always said, because I didn't have a science background, I was like her project, because if I could lead in STEM, then anybody could do it because I didn't come from that background. So she always had that aim for me. So I always think about how proud she would be seeing me, like what I've
I'm sure
achieved
she would.
and talking about stuff on the podcast.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm proud of you on her behalf.
Yeah,
That's
absolutely.
fantastic. It really is. And actually, just to rewind, this should probably have been the first question. But another thing I think we need to talk about is that kind of moment you had where you'd had the cycling accident and you took pause in life, I suppose, to just reflect on what it is you're doing and your purpose and your mission. And yeah, we'll talk about the decision that led you to teaching then. Tell us a bit more about that, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah.
No, not a problem. So when I'd been at high school, music was my thing, and I quite fancied being a high school music teacher. But the head of my department had said to me, you're more about the practical side of things. And I'd organised music events in my high school. We were lucky enough to have a theatre, so me and some friends had organised gigs and things.
Yeah.
He said, you're more about the practical side. He gave me a book of music courses throughout the whole of the UK and said, have a look in that. He steered me down a direction which was actually the right direction for me. A lot of teachers, I think, would be afraid to tell somebody, no, don't go the route you're thinking. He actually did that, but pointed me in the right direction. So I'd had that thought from a younger age about being a teacher. The course I went and did wouldn't have allowed me to become a high school music teacher, and I knew that. But it was where my interests were.
Yeah.
So when I had this accident, I had a friend at the time who was applying to go on to the primary teaching. So I'd been speaking to her a lot about it and thinking a lot again about teaching. Yeah. And, the accident I had, it could have been a lot worse. It was at a major roundabout. Thankfully, there was nothing coming round behind me. Otherwise, it could have been really bad. So that's what I was thinking about in the house. And it sounds a bit morbid, but it was like, if I died there, at that moment, am I proud of what I've done? And the job I was doing was fine. And, it wasn't changing people's lives. Through that job, I'd raised thousands of pounds for charity, though I organised a lot of events for them. So I had that going on. But I thought, let's try and do something more meaningful to help people.
Yeah.
And because I had a friend going down the primary teaching route, I thought, you know what, I'll apply and see what happens. And, the rest is history.
There you are. There you are. And what was it about STEM? So obviously there was, Mrs. Ritchie, was it?
Yeah, well, Dr. Ritchie was
Doctor,
to give her a proper title.
Yeah, of course, Dr. Ritchie. Yeah. But yeah, what I wouldn't have known what astrobiology was, if I'm perfectly honest. So I think if someone had asked me to get involved in astrobiology, I'd be like, I don't know. But yeah, what do you think it is about STEM that hooks the young people, I suppose, and therefore drives you as an educator?
Well, I'm exactly the same as you, Pam. When she said that to me, astrobiology, I was like, what's astrobiology? And it's just simply like the search for life in space, and who isn't amazed by aliens and the thought of aliens?
Yeah. Right, okay. I'm all about that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of what got me hooked with her was things that she was doing with us and activities she was showing us were exciting me.
Yes.
And I thought, if it excites me as an adult, what impact will it have on children?
Yeah.
But what I think it is about STEM that really hooks them is the fact that when you're doing STEM, you can connect it to everything that's round about them, because everything that exists round about is as a result of STEM in some way, whether it's just the natural science or human developed science or technology. So you can get all of these hooks in. There's also a lot of things that as children they're not aware of, but you get to expose them to that as long as you do it in a particularly child-friendly way. So a quick example is I've been talking to the children this year about different STEM careers. And recently I was talking to them about biomedical engineers who make prosthetic limbs. And the amazing conversations you have with primary twos about why some people might need a fake leg and, the different health issues or things that can happen to them and why the legs are made and how they help people. Like primary twos, they're not used to having conversations like that, and they might see these things about. They might see somebody with a fake leg, but they're curious. Children are naturally curious, and STEM feeds that curiosity because it explains what they're seeing. It's just sometimes tricky trying to get it in a child-friendly way. But
that sounds similar to a conversation I had recently where we were chatting about using scientific language with young pupils, and we were saying actually expose them to it. Let them find out what all these kind of key terminologies are. Let them hear the words, and actually they'll rise to that once they start to hear these like the scientific terms. Once they start to be exposed to these different thought ideas, they will rise to that, and they'll start to kind of apply their own thoughts there and start to use that language as well.
Oh, 100%. I've been doing now for a couple of years termly STEM assemblies in my school. And the difference in language, even in the first year, from the first one to the last one in the year, because I would ask the children for their ideas about what was going to happen and then what did happen and to explain it. The language they were using vastly improved in terms of going towards the scientific language from the start, where they were initially trying to explain in really basic terms, but I was feeding back to them in scientific terms. And they, as you're saying, Niall, they rose to that. So then when I would say, what do you think is going to happen? They would say, well, the air pressure is going to act with the gravity and that force is going to make that move. They were given that back. And that's what you want, is that to normalise that language so that when they get to high school, it's then not a scary concept for them.
No, I love that. And that leads on really perfectly to, I think, how I know you, especially Stuart, is from a video that takes place during a school assembly. And this video shows you, that one. This video shows you, and it was on the news, and there's articles everywhere about it. You are, you're holding up like a cup of, is it red water? And you're showing the surface tension, is it?
It's a combination of surface tension and air pressure,
Yeah, absolutely. And you hold the cup up above your head. And at that moment, you're saying, like, this is risky. Essentially, it might spill everywhere. And what happens? But suddenly, the water pours everywhere. And you have that fantastic moment where the school get to experience this funny kind of thing that happens in science. We don't know exactly what's going to happen every single time. We can apply all of our thoughts to each experiment that we do, but it just creates this really exciting moment for the pupils, and one that's gone viral for you. What was the impact of that video?
Well, children still talk about that moment in the school, because that was only a couple of years ago. So there's still plenty of children in the school who saw that. The impact for that, the main impact for that was how excited children then got about the STEM assemblies. That happened at my second STEM assembly.
Sure. Oh, right. Okay.
that I'd ever done. So the impact of that was then whenever the children would come in the morning, because our school have to run multiple assemblies to cover everybody, just because we're a small building, but with a lot of pupils. I would have the table set up and my science thing sitting out on it, and the children would be walking through, it's Mr. Naismith doing assembly today. And you would hear that. They weren't addressing it to me, but just from walking around the school, you can hear the excitement for it.
Yeah.
So the biggest impact of that for me, and it's not even a personal impact, was how that impressed on the children, that excitement for STEM, and they really do look forward to getting those assemblies. I mean, from a personal point of view, obviously it ended up going viral, so more people were then finding my things on TikTok. I ended up on STV News, which that wasn't the main focus of the story, but you know, they featured it. The video has been licensed around the world. It popped up on Comedy Central.
Did it?
Recently they had a series that they were doing of various fail videos, but not only was mine in one of the episodes, they were using it in the trailer for it as well.
Oh, fantastic.
I only know about that because one of the guys I play ice hockey with, his daughter went running through to the room and said, "Daddy, your friend's on TV." And he went through to see what it was, and when it was my birthday, it said "Happy Birthday, Comedy Central Superstar," and I had no idea why he'd said that because I didn't know that it was on there.
That's amazing. That is an awesome achievement, being on Comedy Central.
But what it then means is, and again, this is reflecting out to other people, although that meant more people were finding my TikTok, that means more people are then being educated by the videos I'm putting out. So
Yes.
I'm all about the impact it has on others rather than any personal glory or anything that's come from it.
Yeah.
And do you know one thing? I haven't looked through your YouTube channel and seen some of your videos. There's a real focus, I think, on making STEM accessible in the kind of like low cost everyday materials that you're using. Like, how important is that for STEM education?
I think it's very important because budgets are tight in schools, and quite often teachers do end up funding things themselves. So if you can do it with things that you already have lying around the house or things that you can pick up for not a lot of money, it really does make a big difference. But not only does it make a difference from the financial point of view, again, children then don't see it as scary. They don't see science as something that only gets done in labs with this fancy equipment.
Yeah.
You can do it with anything. I've got a couple of parent information sessions coming up, although by the time this goes out, they might have been, where one of them, I'm showing the parents a series of experiments you can do with an empty drinks can, and then the other one, a series of experiments that you can do with a balloon.
Right.
And that's so that they can then go home and do these with their children. So it is my main focus of it, is trying to strip away any barriers that there are to it, make it as simple and as accessible as possible, so teachers can do it in school, but so the children can then go home and do the things at home, or even so home educators can access it as well.
Yeah, that's so cool. And like, so for our kind of teacher educators, primary teachers who listen, can you think, like, spring into your mind, do you have like a really cool example that people could check out on your YouTube channel that like is an easy experiment or an easy impressive science thing that someone could just go and do? Could you talk us through one, maybe?
Well, just because it's in my head with the balloons, and it's something I've done recently. Get a balloon, inflate it, tie it, and rub it on a jumper or rub it on your hair, which I obviously can't do, so I go with a jumper. To build up the static charge. And then if you pass it over quite close to some salt sprinkled on a table, the salt comes up and sticks to the balloon.
Cool.
You can do the same with wee bits of tin foil. They'll come up and stick to the balloon.
Cool.
That's a nice wee starter to build up to getting an empty drinks can. Lie it on its side, and when you build up the static and put the balloon near it, the can will roll towards the balloon. And as long as you keep moving the balloon away, the can will just keep rolling and rolling. So you can get children to race cans along a table.
That's so cool.
That one, I mean, even seeing the tinfoil come up usually excites the children.
Oh, yeah.
But there you're exploring static electricity. But you are also can then link it to real life electromagnets like they use at shipping yards. So you bring in that real life context with that. Or if you don't want to do static with it, they can race their balloons along a length of string. So inflate a balloon, tape a straw to the top of it, feed some string through, have somebody hold it at one end, somebody hold it at the other, and release it, and it will go along the length of the string. And you can get teams racing balloons. They're just a couple that spring to mind because we were talking about balloons. But there's loads that I've done with kids, and they get excited by, it doesn't even need to be something big and flashy that has a big explosion or whatever. They get excited by really straightforward things.
Yeah.
That's probably quite good, actually, isn't it? That you're not encouraging the young people of Gartcosh to blow stuff up.
Definitely.
We don't sensible science.
No, yes.
Yeah. No, we don't want that. You made me think. One of my favourite stories from Dr. Ritchie was she was telling me about in her high school chemistry days. She once set fire to her classroom.
Whoa!
And then in a separate incident, and I don't know what she did. She never told me what caused this. Maybe so I wouldn't do it. But in a separate incident, she blew out the windows of her classroom.
Whoa!
And was told that she had to calm down a bit with what experiments she was doing.
Yeah, stick to the balloons, maybe.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. Don't blow out your windows.
I love that. And see, in terms of like managing your YouTube channel, I was like, with a quick scroll through, you can see that you're kind of getting quite decent views on them. But there was one video I saw that was like through the roof into the kind of mega thousands of views recently. What have you learned about, what works and what doesn't work, and what videos people like and things? Because that's a skill in itself, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It is, and I'll be honest, it's not a skill that I've developed. I try and not pay too much attention to the analytics.
Yeah.
So there is one that I had where it went up. I think with my Fun with Fibonacci one, it ended up going into like the 40 odd thousands, or I mean it might be higher now. But it sat for a long time just at a few hundred, and then all of a sudden just went. About 3 years after it was released, it shot up. So, like, honestly, I hadn't learned anything. It was just, I don't know what made that one go.
Yeah.
But I was talking to a friend a couple of years ago about the YouTube thing, and I said, sometimes I look at the views and I get a wee bit disheartened. And he said, well, for a start, you're doing this for teachers in the hope that they show it in their classroom. So if they are, one view is actually potentially like 30 views.
Yep.
When it's all those children.
Yep.
But he also sent me a video of a YouTuber. Now, this guy had been a successful YouTuber and was getting lots of views. But what he said was, if you get hung up on the analytics, you stop making the content that you want to make, and you'll start trying to feed that machine. So I look at it to go, oh, that video's done quite well compared to my other ones. I like to see how they're doing.
Yeah.
But I don't stress about it, because ultimately I want to enjoy what I'm doing. I don't want to be one of these people that has a viral video or a viral moment and just keeps repeating that. So like you see it on TikTok all the time, where somebody's content is just the exact same dance 20 times. When I had that viral moment with the glass of water, somebody said, oh, what are you going to do then for your next one? I said, I'm not, because I want to educate people. I don't want to just have here are science fail videos. So to be honest, Pam, I haven't really learned anything. I don't dig into it. I make what I find interesting, and hopefully other people then find it interesting.
Yeah,
well, I'm sure they do, and we will make sure that we spread the word and recommend your content to our audience. Because ready to go, like, could teachers just literally take one of your videos and sort of run it in their classroom? Yeah,
so it's everything's worded in a child-friendly manner in the videos, in case it is a home educator showing it to their children, or a teacher using it in a staff room, in a classroom. So it's all child-friendly language, probably around about middle school language. So some videos, depending on the class, the teacher might need to simplify the language a bit, but you can actually do the same activity with everyone P1 to P7, which I've done a couple of times this year already. You just pitch it at different levels. But basically they can either pick it up and show their class, this is a video, this is a concept. You can pause it and get them to make predictions, because I show it in sequence. So I show the setup. We don't launch into the result and then go backwards. It's right, here we go, let's build it up.
Yeah.
With a lot of them, I explain its context in the world, who developed it. If it's been an invention like the snow globes, I talk about who invented snow globes. So you can either show it to a class, or they can watch it themselves and deliver the lesson, or they can do a combination. They could have the resources, the class follow me in the video, but they're doing it along with it. Pause it whenever you want. There's all sorts of different ways it can be used and has been used. But I want to try and make it, as we were saying earlier, make it accessible for everybody to be able to just get hands-on with STEM.
So see, from your YouTube channel, you've got some of the awards that you've won over the last couple of years as well.
Yeah.
Has the YouTube channel and all your social medias contributed to that? Or have these more come from a place of supporting students within school?
With a couple of them, I don't know how much weight has been given in either direction. So the first one, the Primary Science Teaching Award, was the first one that I got. And somebody had flagged that to me because of the social media content I was making. Somebody within the PSTT had said, we have these awards. I see the stuff you post. If you're still in class, you should apply for this.
Yeah.
Right.
Because they only award it to teachers who are in class. But all my social media stuff was included as part of my nomination, along with everything I do in the classroom. For that, they come out and observe you in the classroom teaching. So they actually did see me teaching to make sure that I know what I'm talking about.
Sure.
But all the back end stuff was also part of it. So could that have tipped the scales in my favour over somebody else? Possibly. I'm not sure.
Sure.
With the Royal Society of Chemistry Award, it's very much the same thing. The nomination was about what I've done in school, but also how I've taken what I do in school and help other schools through the social media.
Yeah.
So I again, not sure which way that, how much weight goes in either direction. The Prime Minister's Points of Light Award is purely for my STEM with Mr. N work, because it's all voluntary. Like, I don't earn any money from it. I fund it all myself. So that's definitely purely social media.
Sure.
And the shortlisting for the Teach Primary Awards, that's all purely STEM with Mr. N work. It's got nothing to do with the classroom. So it's played certainly 100% of the part in a couple of them. I don't know how big a chunk it's played in the others, but I dare say it has come under consideration.
Well, that's the thing, because you've got your classes in school that you're working with, but it's not just them that you're supporting. You're supporting teachers all across the world, never mind just in Scotland. So really, your classes are hundreds of thousands big that you're supporting there. So yeah, I think that's fair. So one other question that I was kind of wondering was, what do parents think as well of having an award-winning science teacher working with their students?
Yeah.
Are they thinking that a large chunk of your lessons are going to be STEM focused, or are they just excited to have you working and supporting their young people?
Most of it's just been that latter part, the excitement that their young people are going to be getting, STEM delivered to them.
Yeah.
Particularly this year, when people found out that I was going to be doing science with the whole school. That's my remit this year, is STEM with everyone, P1 to P7. People were excited to hear that was happening. As I said, we've got these parent information sessions with the experiments that they're hoping for quite a good turnout at those, because the children are excited by it, and even the other teachers are excited by how excited the children are getting this year.
Yep.
So one of our P1 teachers said to me today that a pupil came into her on Wednesday after seeing me on Tuesday afternoon and was talking about the Astrobiology and sending images up to the International Space Station, and she'd never heard of any of this, and that's what I'd been doing with them on the Tuesday afternoon. So there is that bit of excitement there, but no parent that when I've been a class teacher, I don't think any parents have ever thought of they'll only be doing the STEM side.
No. But
there has been that excitement and appreciation for the fact that I bring that into the classroom and give them that experience.
And how much does technology feature in your STEM activities? Because obviously that's our particular focus and niche, but it's a key part of STEM activities at the end of the day. So how does that? What sort of things have you done in the kind of technology side of things?
I'm trying to bring in more of it now. It has been a wee bit lighter in the past because of the limited technology that we have within the school.
Yeah.
But I've been lucky enough to make a couple of great partnerships with people. So DataBot, somebody that I've worked with a few times, a robotics company in the US. So this year I'm using DataBot a lot more. It's a wee robot with lots of sensors on it. So
cool.
I've used it for parachute drops because it's got an accelerometer on it. So you can actually, rather than using a stopwatch, you can see the accelerometer show how quickly it's been moving.
Brilliant.
It's got temperature probes. I've used it to show how carbon dioxide traps heat. So I've had 2 jars, one with CO2 in it, the other one just empty. And the temperature probes show that the carbon dioxide one heats up faster. It's got loads of sensors that I'm trying to get more involved in the classroom with activities. So I'm trying to bring that in a bit more. But the biggest sort of tech heavy thing that I've done as a project was last year I developed a project with a teacher in Italy, and it was taking satellite data and mapping it against climate change or markers for climate change.
Amazing.
So my class in Gartcosh and her class in Rome were gathering satellite data from the European Space Agency that showed carbon dioxide levels over the past, I think it was 30 to 40 years that they've got the data for. We're looking at land surface temperature, sea surface temperature. So the pupils were getting temperature data to begin with, analysing that, then downloading all this satellite data, all the images, and then going through that to see what the trend was and where there were changes. They then came up with their own conclusions and fed the data into AI, which then fed back its conclusions. And then we spoke about, well, does that match our conclusions? We're trying to spot if the AI's picked up correctly.
Brilliant.
So we were getting that understanding going. A lady from Spire, a global satellite company, she came in and did into my class, but we did a live stream with the school in Italy and spoke properly about satellite tech. This went on for a good 10 weeks.
Amazing.
Getting all of this data. And we've applied to present this as a joint project at Science on Stage 2026, which fingers crossed we get accepted.
Fingers crossed.
But that's been the biggest sort of tech heavy thing that we've done.
Sure.
That's so cool.
Niall
and I were involved in a project with West Lothian Council, where they had like air monitoring technology in a number of their school buildings, and that was great as well, just to see the pupils sort of getting the real world data and seeing the impact of things that they can do in real life on these monitoring devices. Niall, do you want to tell us a little bit about that? And because I wonder if you've got the same. Have you seen anything like that, Stuart?
It was from Edinburgh University.
So I've heard of different projects like that, but even the ones that were put in during COVID to show whether we should open our windows, it showed the ventilation. Even that excites children, and that's not even part of a lesson. But so fill us in, Niall.
As I see, to be fair, I can't remember much about it.
But I wonder,
it was like 2 years ago.
It was funded. It was a funded project, I think. So through Edinburgh Uni. And so I was just wondering if there was maybe like an opportunity for you to sort of get into it. It's the kind of thing you love, Stuart, I think.
I think so. It was through Edinburgh Uni, and they'd put them into every classroom, and it was these wee white boxes, and it just and it made the data publicly available, so you could see when did the lights get turned on, when did the you mentioned the CO2 levels increase beyond the point that windows should be opened, the temperatures in classes. All of these kind of things.
I do wonder if young people will be sort of more intrigued. Like for us, I think our ages. I know we're not the same age, but our ages. This smart home technology's not been part of our lives. But one of my friends has just bought a brand new house, and I was kind of blown away by the technology in it, where the heating systems are all very smart. You can breathe on them and see the CO2 levels changing in the rooms, and you're like, so there must be lots of children and young people that live in these kind of super modern houses, and I guess that will be an interest that will spark for them when they link the fact that that's going on in their house to science in the classroom. Super exciting.
No, I agree, and it's coming back to that familiarity thing as well. Children are a lot more familiar with tech than we ever were as children, but also when you can make that then related to the real world
Yes.
outside the home and what's going on round about them. I'll need to look into that thing of them with Edinburgh Uni, because me and my colleague in Italy have plans for how we're going to develop this further and bring more tech into it. So I'll have a look into that and see what I can find out.
We always end up talking about AI on every episode of this podcast, but like, it is the technology that's kind of shaking our world up over the last few years. What's your takeaways? What's the big benefits been, I suppose, for you as a teacher?
So the big benefit is it can vastly improve productivity in lots of different ways. I've used it for all sorts of different things. Recently, I was a bit resistant from using AI to begin with, because I was kind of like, I want to still use my brain for things. So I'm still quite selective in how I use it. But like, even for proofreading things, so I've written a couple of chapters for some books, and I've used it to proofread. Normally I would send it to my dad, but then you've got the time lag for sending it to him and coming back. So being able to put it into the AI, and it can pick up all sorts of things, like, rather than duplicating this language, do this, shorten that sentence, break this up into bits, just what you would get from somebody else proofreading, but you get it instantly. So I can then work on things much faster. Trying to find research data for particular things that I'm writing about or going to be teaching about, the AI will go and give me the list, rather than me having to Google and crawl through a whole load of things. It'll produce it. So from a productivity point of view, I've found it, absolutely brilliant. It's a great tool. It's helped streamline things for even doing my YouTube videos. I managed to get so much more done during the summer holidays this year than I ever have before. So it's got huge benefits. There's also obviously various dangers that people need to be aware of, and children need to be aware of, with data that's fed into various AI. But it's just like when the internet was first coming out and children were starting to get used to that. There's dangers out in the internet. You need to know the right way to use it and the right data to put out there. I think, though, AI has come along so quickly and developed so quickly that people have fired a whole lot into it before they had a chance to learn about the various risks that can be involved.
And ethical concerns. Absolutely. And just worth flagging as well to anyone who is worried about that there is the opportunity in every AI I've ever used to switch off the ability for it to use what you're giving it to train itself. So that's a good kind of protection for people as well. And the AIs that have been approved for use in education, for example, Google Gemini's policies in education very clearly state that the data will not be used by them. So I think these assurances are now starting to come, which, again, it's the speed of the technology, the development that's kind of run away from us, hasn't it? But policies are catching up now, I think. And the big one for me recently is I've really noticed AI replacing Google search for me as a tool. I tend, like, it's almost like I was doing it anyway. I was kind of using AIs instead of Google search that I would have used previously. But I'm also seeing now Google search itself offering the AI search and giving us the AI summary as the first response. So that's an interesting one for us, isn't it? Is AI going to replace search?
And that's the thing. I don't know why, but there are some times when the AI is in the search, I trust the results, and then there's sometimes I'm like, wait, let me go and just have a look at this and see, because I don't know if that sounds quite right in what I'm looking for. So I think there's still a wee bit of work to be done there on the kind of search result side of things. But it's saving me a ton of time if I'm just needing like a quick snappy answer.
And that's also, though, where we need to teach children about critical thinking skills.
Yes,
because
totally.
Obviously, as we were growing up without all of this tech, we were taught critical thinking skills. So as you're saying now, you read it and go, that doesn't seem quite right. I'm going to look into that. Whereas if we don't teach those skills of parsing the information, people will just take it as read. And I've caught out that AI Google thing where it gives you the AI summary. I've caught it out last year when I was doing things with my class on flags, that it was given incorrect information about the colours of certain flags. Which is a good trivia question for anyone listening, is there's only one country whose flag does not have either red, white or blue in it. It doesn't have any of those three countries.
Ooh.
And the AI on Google had said there was two, but actually one of those countries changed their flag in 2017 to include red. So there's now only one which did not have red, white or blue in it.
And if you want to find out the answer, keep listening to the end of the episode.
It's the white that's stumping me. Every time I think of, it'll be like Brazil. Oh no, it's got white in it. Or it'll be like Saudi Arabia. Oh no, it's got white in it. Like that's the bit that's stumping me here, is the white.
I'll reveal it before we go off,
sure,
so that you're not awake all night worrying about it.
I love
keeping
this.
everybody
I love
hooked
this. I love it.
One of the things you mentioned there as well was that you are proofreading a lot, and you've written a ton of pieces, whether that's blogs. You've been supporting with books as well and literature. I'd love to hear about kind of how you're getting your writing out there.
Yeah.
The very first thing that I ended up writing for somebody was through LinkedIn. It was a woman I'd connected with. She's a fluid mechanics engineer in a lubricant engineer. That's the correct term. She's a lubrication engineer from Trinidad and Tobago. And we'd get connected just through the STEM thing on LinkedIn. Sure. And she was producing this book called Empowering Women in STEM. And it was the volume 2 version. And it's all about people telling their stories to try and encourage women to either get involved in STEM or stay in STEM.
Yeah. But
it's not just women telling their stories. She also wants allies as well. So she asked me if I would be interested in contributing to volume 2 and just basically tell my story. And because I had obviously a very strong female mentor, that was the angle I went with, was, what she did for me and then how I can then pass that on to others.
Yeah.
So that was just kind of the first one that came about. She's then come back and asked me to contribute to volume 4, where she's doing, every chapter's going to have multiple contributors telling things from their point of view. So I contributed to 2 chapters of that. It'll be out next year, probably around about the summer next year. That book will be coming out. And then Twinkl, just out of the blue, got in touch a couple of months ago, and the woman said, look, I've been meaning to get in touch with you for a few years. I've been watching you all this time and everything you put out. Would you be interested in writing some guest blogs for us? So I agreed, because, again, it's another way to get the message out about, accessible STEM.
Yep, totally.
About the need for gender equality and how we can tackle that in the classroom 100%. And all the things that I do and talk about anyway. So it was a nice opportunity to put that out. And then there's been a couple of articles that I've written for other things.
I saw Tess. Although I wasn't logged in. Yes, I wasn't logged in, so it was trying to charge me, and I was like, oh, right, okay, no. I'll come back to that.
So the Tess one came on the back of the STV thing, or being in the Daily Record, one of them, that it was just when I'd won the Royal Society of Chemistry Award that they got in touch and said, would you be interested in doing this 10 questions with series that we've got? But I'd written a piece for a Science Festivals magazine. They were just call for entries for the children to read. So I did one on why STEM is for you, and just a very short thing about why children should get into it. So like with a lot of things I've done, it's just I've stumbled into them, and I can't say no to things. If somebody comes to me with an opportunity, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Then I find myself really busy and thinking, how am I going to fit all this in? But it's just come from putting myself out there and having that sort of public facing approach to STEM that people have come to me about things. And if somebody thinks that what I've got to say is valuable, then I'll contribute.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
I love
amazing.
that.
What you've
Yeah.
achieved is absolutely incredible. All these awards and all the things you've published and your channel doing so well. What's
Yeah.
next? What's next?
Oh, well, I don't know. I've got a lot going. I've got a lot going on. So a couple of weeks ago, I delivered a CPD session for teachers in Poland.
Cool.
And I'm doing about 50 teachers in Poland were on that. About STEM in a bilingual classroom. Yesterday, I was doing a CPD session about career education through STEM, and I thought it was just for teachers around Europe, but I saw in the chat there was folk in it from Peru and the Maldives.
Wow.
So I had that going on. So coming up, I've got these parent information sessions at my school, and I'll be doing that at a local museum as well, who want to do the same sort of thing. A virtual call with a STEM camp in the US in a couple of weeks to speak to the girls there about getting into STEM. CPD for a school in Mexico, the same bilingual STEM thing.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I've got going on this side of Christmas. Who knows? Who knows what's going on? Who knows what's going on in the new year? Hopefully, science on stage in May if we get approved for that.
Yes,
come on.
But yeah, I don't make plans. I read in a book many years ago. I know you guys like music because it was in obviously the pre-chat. But so I was reading Gene Simmons' first autobiography, Year of Kiss fame, and it said, I'm sure it was his book, and it said life is what happens to people that are busy making plans.
So true.
And he spouts a lot of nonsense, but that one actually, that one stuck with me, and I'm like, it's right. If you're just sitting planning everything out, you're going to miss opportunities.
Yeah,
so
true.
I don't sit and plan. Like, I never thought 5 years ago when I made my first video I'd still be making them, let alone speaking to the pair of you in a podcast about it. You know, I see where the wind takes me and just keep myself open to opportunities. So I can tell you what's booked in, which is what I've done. As for past that, who knows?
Who knows? Well, if what you've done so far is anything to go by, I'm sure it'll be exciting, and I'm sure it'll make a big impact on young people. So, yeah, well done, Mr. Naismith. Really impressive. From that guy that just had the bike accident, sitting wondering what he was going to do with his life. I think you've got a lot to be proud of.
Yeah, definitely.
Since then, it's been absolutely brilliant chatting to you, Stuart. Niall, have we forgotten anything that we really wanted to talk to Stuart
I've still
about?
got like 10, 15 questions that I was wanting to go through. So, I mean, I would love to have you back on again any time that you're free, because I've got so many other questions to ask you I would love to know the answer to. And I imagine everybody that's either watching or listening would also have questions as well for you. So, if you're free at all again in the future, I'd love to hear more.
Well, I'd be happy to answer more now, but equally delighted to come back and talk again.
All right, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's been a great chat, and all the very best of luck with your international CPD sessions that you've got lined up.
Cheers, thank you.
Thanks very much for making it to the end of another episode. We really appreciate you listening to the podcast. Remember, if you want to reach out on social media, we're at Digitize Crew on most channels. And if you wouldn't mind sharing with colleagues and friends, it really does make a difference to us. The more people that hear about what it is we're trying to do here, we really appreciate it. So take a screenshot, show yourself listening to the podcast, and share it for us, and we'd really appreciate that.